Goodness in people's hearts actively supports society, both in respect to the monastic community and to the lay community. The basic foundation for social happiness rests with the same group of spiritual qualities. Loving kindness, metta, compassion, karuna, sympathetic joy, mudita, and equanimity, upekkha, the four divine abidings, Brahma Vihara. But when establishing a system of practice in social situations, another set of factors must be defined based on the foundation of spiritual qualities above, which can be applied in the domain of conventional reality. The six virtues conducive to communal life, Saraniyadhamma, practiced by the monks are based on the four divine abidings. But it is difficult to establish this same set of six virtues in the context of lay life. Take, for example, the fourth factor of equally distributing material gains. This is realistic and achievable in the monastic community, very difficult to implement in everyday society. Generally, the best people can do in this context is to defer to this principle of sharing everything with others, or else they sidestep the issue altogether. For this reason, another group of factors was established as a practical guideline for lay society. If asked what these factors are, I wonder how many Buddhists are able to answer. As an aside, I have observed that lay Buddhists are generally not able to properly distinguish between internal spiritual factors and practical principles applied in external social circumstances. For example, many people refer to spiritual qualities like loving kindness and compassion, talk about them as if they are principles for practical application in society. This causes confusion and misunderstanding for the speaker as well as for others. As mentioned above, the six virtues conducive to communal life are based on the four divine abidings. Yet it is obvious that in this teaching, loving kindness is not simply an emotion stored in the heart. Rather, it is applied outwardly as physical acts of loving kindness, metta, kaya kamma, enthusiastic assistance of others, verbal acts of loving kindness, metta, vachi kamma, and thoughts of loving kindness, metta, mano kamma. In the context of lay society, the four divine abidings are expressed as principles of practical application in the teaching of the four bases of social solidarity, Sangha Vatu. Earlier we discussed generosity, dana, in the context of inner development as part of the three bases of meritorious action, Punya Kiriya Vatu. Here we will discuss generosity in the context of practical application for householders as part of the four bases of social solidarity. Four bases of social solidarity, Sangha Vatu, also referred to as principles of service or virtues making for group integration, are applied to external social situations. They are paired with the internal spiritual factors of the four divine abidings. 1. Generosity, dana. A. One gives to others in an ordinary situation in order to express one's love and well-wishing, one's kindness and consideration. This is a giving with loving kindness. B. One gives to others who are distressed or sick in order to offer assistance. This is giving with compassion. C. One gives to others who have performed a benefit to society, for example, to a skilled inventor, in order to offer support and encouragement. This is giving with appreciative joy. 2. Kindly speech, piya vacha. One speaks kind, polite, and courteous words in ordinary situations. This is speech with loving kindness. B. One speaks comforting words and offers wise advice when others are confronted with difficulty. This is speech with compassion. C. One speaks words of rejoicing and admiration when others perform good deeds and engage in meritorious, wholesome acts. This is speech with appreciative joy. 3. Acts of service, attachariya. A. One helps others and provides support by wishing them well. These are acts of service with loving kindness. B. One helps others by way of one's physical efforts or by way of one's wisdom and proficiency to escape from difficulty when they are faced with hardship and affliction, say from floods and fires or a workload exceeding their strength. These are acts of service with compassion. C. One helps others when they perform beneficial actions. For example, when they organize an almsgiving ceremony in a monastery by lending a hand and encouraging their acts of goodness. These are acts of service with appreciative joy. When one reaches the stage of practical application, one needs to engage on this level of the 4 principles of service. One should not simply recite the 4 divine abidings in a vague and ambiguous way. Otherwise, the criticisms, say, by the Western author mentioned in the last footnote are justified. Rather than condemn the critics, we should explain to them the truth of the matter. The 4th factor in this group is even and equal treatment, fair and just treatment of others. Samanata. This factor corresponds with equanimity, upeka. Equanimity is expressed by way of this even and equal treatment, by non-favoritism, by non-discrimination, by refraining from disparaging or exploiting others, by just behavior, and by integrating oneself and living in harmony with others. By practicing in accord with these 4 principles, one fosters happiness and harmony in one's community. One helps to create an environment conducive to each individual's well-being, success, and development. Moreover, acting in order to benefit society is inherently a form of self-development. For this reason, it is said that serving others is a form of spiritual practice. By acting in order to benefit others, one automatically benefits and develops one's self. Take, for example, a bodhisattva who engages in Dharma practice and develops the perfections, parami, by helping others. Indeed, the very act of helping others constitutes his or her Dharma practice. In order to effectively help others, one must apply wisdom and skill and be cultivating an advanced stage of spiritual practice. By successfully helping others, we ourselves undergo a spiritual transformation. Our wisdom faculty and other spiritual capabilities are strengthened. In order to practice the Dhamma correctly, one must thus accord with 2 teachings by the Buddha. First, the Buddha presented the pair of factors consisting of non-harming of oneself and non-harming of others. Second, he taught the pair of factors attending to personal well-being, and attending to the well-being of others, paratta. This second teaching less commonly consists of three factors: self-benefit, atatta, benefit of others, paratta, and mutual benefit, bhayatta. These two factors of attending to one's own personal matters and attending to the concerns of others are always paired with one another. Mutual assistance benefits everyone. In respect to the monastic community, apart from emphasizing the sharing of material gains, the Buddha also gave great emphasis to communal harmony, samadhi. This harmony stands in contrast to a schism in the Sangha, Sangha Bheda, which if created intentionally counts as one of the 5 crimes bringing about immediate results, Tariyakama, the most severe form of evil deed. This reveals the prime importance the Buddha gave to communal harmony. For the lay community, the Buddha also emphasized the importance of unity and concord by maintaining the 4 bases of social solidarity, Sanghavatu. Of all the Buddha's male lay disciples who were praised as being preeminent, Eta Daga, there are 2 who stand out as supreme: the householder Chitta, who was foremost at preaching the Dhamma, and Hataka, who was foremost at uniting other people. Hataka was proficient at creating communal harmony by way of the 4 bases of social solidarity. As a leader, he was able to use these 4 factors to bring about a firm and stable harmony amongst his community. The Buddha praised these 2 individuals as being the standard bearers of the Buddhist male lay community. The female lay community also contained a pair of supreme disciples who acted as standard bearers, Kujutara, who was foremost in great knowledge, and Nandamata, foremost in meditative proficiency. The reason why I am emphasizing this subject is that contemporary Buddhists seem to view Buddhism as a matter dealing almost exclusively with the individual. They do not seem to realize the importance the Buddha gave to communal and social issues. I believe Buddhists need to establish a more balanced perspective. In sum, in relation to the monastic community, the Buddha emphasized the principle of harmony, samadhi, while in relation to the lay community, he emphasized the 4 bases of social solidarity, Sanghavatu. In both cases, the focal point is communal harmony. In the case of the monks and nuns, the Buddha spoke in a more general, abstract sense, whereas in regard to the laity, he spoke about material possessions. Buddhism thus gives great emphasis to communal and social issues, which are intimately connected to personal issues. Granted, personal issues are an essential aspect of spiritual practice. For people to develop spiritually, things must proceed according to laws of nature pertaining to the individual. Even on the level of the body, after swallowing food, we must digest it ourselves. No one can help us to do this. If we are unable to swim, no amount of strident instructions by another, or even divine intervention, will enable us to swim. If we are unable to do multiplication, our friends cannot calculate the answer and beam it into our brains. If we are suffering, no matter how much others love us, they won't be able to imbue us with happiness. And if we lack wisdom, others are unable to infuse us with it. For this reason, one must be able to rely on oneself. One must train oneself and cultivate the necessary natural conditions of oneself. Having said this, Buddhism recognizes the well-wishing, support, and encouragement by others as an essential external condition for people's spiritual development. As guides and teachers, wise and well-meaning people are able to apply social systems to act as a catalyst, initiating natural dynamics within an individual. Most notably, wise reflection. Once these dynamics set in, the process of development reaches fulfillment. This is how other people are able to help. To begin with, they express kindness and well-wishing, and then they actively assist as an external influence. For example, a teacher provides instruction to foster wisdom in his or her pupils, but if the pupils do not wish to learn, the teaching is in vain. The teacher is unable to automatically transfer knowledge into the pupils' minds. The pupils need to combine this teaching with internal factors. When one knows how to investigate, is determined to listen, and possesses skillful reflection, yoniso manasikara, the information one has learned, referred to as sutta, is transformed into wisdom. The teacher is unable to inject this wisdom into the student. I have often pointed out how lay people go to monks and ask for moral conduct. They chant, Mayam Bante Ti Saranena Saha Pancha Silani Yachama. We request the 5 precepts, yet the monks reply, we are unable to confer on you moral conduct. This is something you must develop yourself. So what is to be done? The monks know that moral rectitude arises from proper spiritual practice. It is not something that one person can give to another. They thus tell the lay people, after reciting these precepts, go and keep them. Go and follow them. True morality will then arise within you. The lay people ask for morality, sila, and the monks will give them precepts or training rules, sikkhapada. They recite panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami, and undertake the precept of refraining from harming living creatures, etc. By keeping the precepts, morality arises within the individual. Lay people may ask for concentration from the monks, who will reply in a similar way, saying, this is not something I can bestow on you, you must develop it yourself. But I can teach you meditation techniques for you to practice. By developing these, you will generate concentration. The same goes for wisdom. The monks will reply, I can't give you wisdom, but I can share information and teachings for you to reflect on and investigate. In this way, you will generate wisdom within yourselves. When lay people ask for morality, the monks give them precepts to undertake. When lay people ask for concentration, the monks give them meditation techniques to develop. When lay people ask for wisdom, the monks give them teachings to examine. To sum up, spiritual practice vis-a-vis society, acts of service for one's community or society bears two important fruits on the personal level. First, when one acts for the benefit of society, say by offering assistance to others, these very actions constitute spiritual practice. They are an exceptional opportunity for spiritual practice. Second, by acting in this way, one creates a conducive environment for spiritual practice, which benefits everyone, including oneself. The second factor is very important. If society is filled with turmoil and depression, how is one able to practice the Dhamma? Studying, seeking out books, sitting in meditation, all of these activities are obstructed. In the monastic communities, it is essential that the monks foster peace, harmony, and cooperation, creating a conducive atmosphere for each individual to engage in Dhamma practice and perform regular duties conveniently and at ease. A peaceful community enables people to increase their acts of service for others, which in turn increases the personal benefits mentioned above, strengthening a wholesome cycle. Buddhism gives great emphasis to society. When examining Buddhism, one should not look solely at the Dhamma teachings. Rather, one should also investigate the formal discipline, the Vinaya. Moreover, there are distinct spiritual factors which help to bridge the Dhamma and the Vinaya, and which are highlighted in regards to one's relationship to society and to the material world. When one performs good deeds for society with a mind of kindness and compassion, one experiences joy and delight. One thus obtains a vital spiritual factor. When one witnesses someone become freed from suffering, one's joy increases. By helping others, one's society becomes more joyous and one's own happiness grows, which is conducive to other spiritual factors. In this context, bear in mind these two groups of factors. In relation to society, one applies the four bases of social solidarity, Sangha, which are based on the four divine abidings of loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity. The four bases of solidarity create a collective happiness. In relation to the individual, one is endowed with the five factors constituting concentration of the Dhamma, Dhamma Samadhi, joy, delight, tranquility, happiness, and concentration. These factors facilitate spiritual practice and act as internal assets or a spiritual capital. In particular, one should try and foster the first factor of pamodya, joy, cheerfulness, gladness. Awakened beings, including stream enterers, act as exemplars in this context. The Buddha described how noble beings maintain both personal happiness and social happiness. He compared stream enterers who diligently attend to both their individual practice and to communal activities and to helping others, with a mother cow who, while grazing, looks over her shoulder to look at her calf, checking to see that it is getting enough to eat. Monks, just as a cow with a young calf, while she grazes, watches her calf, so too that is the character of a person who is accomplished in right view, i.e., a stream enterer. Indeed, a noble disciple attends earnestly to those necessary affairs concerning his companions in the holy life, yet he is also ardently attentive to the training in higher morality, the training in higher mind, and the training in higher wisdom. The Buddha wished for people to behave in a similar way as these stream enterers. The wise learn from suffering. It is now time to discuss the advantages and disadvantages of happiness. But before we do, let me say some more about suffering. Because one must pass beyond suffering in order to reach happiness, and suffering too has advantages and disadvantages. People dislike suffering because it is oppressive, stifling, troubling, and frustrating. This is the very definition of suffering, and so it's normal that people find it displeasurable. A person endowed with wise reflection, yoniso manasikara, however, is able to benefit from suffering. How so? When people are oppressed by suffering and feel frustrated, they struggle to escape. If they know how to strive correctly, however, besides increasing their likelihood of successfully escaping the suffering, the very endeavour makes them strong, provides them with valuable life experiences, and is conducive to spiritual growth on many levels. If people are able to reflect wisely and develop the proper relationship to suffering, they will prosper. But if they deal with suffering incorrectly, besides remaining caught up in it, they will aggravate the situation. Take, for example, someone who is born poor or destitute. If he is unable to reflect on his situation wisely, but instead sits around miserable, depressed, and despairing, he simply exacerbates the suffering and sinks deeper into misfortune. If he responds to the situation correctly, however, strives to rectify it, and reflects wisely, he is able to overcome that suffering and may even reach great success. Occasionally, the struggle to escape from suffering becomes established as a social system. Take, for example, the system of market economy, competition, which is spreading from the West and becoming the dominant worldwide economic system as part of what we call globalization. This system of competition compels people to struggle with the pressures of suffering. It is strongly connected to the doctrine of every man for himself, or the system of individualism. As one struggles without being able to rely on anyone else for help, one must be fiercely determined and generate energy. This makes people strong, proactive, and constantly ambitious. A certain diligence and vigilance is required to succeed in this system, which results in progress. A deeper analysis of how desirable this progress is, or what pros and cons this system of competition has, will have to wait for another time. In any case, the diligence arising from the pressure of this competitive system is not true diligence, because it is simply a reaction and struggle against a feeling of coercion. It is not diligence stemming from wisdom, and it leaves many problems in its wake, but both personal, example stress, and social, example the absence of relationships based on friendliness and goodwill. Many of these problems consequently require great effort to solve. Having said this, a diligent and vigilant person is still better than someone wallowing in heedlessness and indulgence. Occasionally, leaders in society must apply or even generate this kind of pseudo diligence in order to rouse people from their slumber. This is better than allowing them to sink into heedlessness, curl up in depression, or be at a complete loss over what to do. People should learn how to benefit from suffering. When afflicted by suffering, they will then make effort and grow strong, and then they will look for skillful ways to solve problems, to free themselves from suffering. The attempt to free oneself from suffering is an opportunity to develop oneself spiritually. First and foremost, one develops wisdom. By the time one has solved a problem and passed beyond it, one's wisdom is sharper. All aspects of one's life will be developed and become more proficient, including one's physical behavior, speech, and mind. Moreover, one will become more mentally strong. For example, one's mindfulness and concentration will be improved. One can thus learn how to benefit from suffering. For this reason, the Buddha stated that a wise person can be happy even while encountering difficulty. One is able to be happy even amidst suffering. Suffering can thus be a boon if one is able to benefit from it.